Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today we are unpacking a really fascinating concept called momentum growth. Basically, we're going to look at the underlying physics of why some people seem to achieve this unstoppable level of success, while the rest of us sometimes feel, well, totally stuck in the mud. Let's just jump right in.
I want you to think about this for a second. Have you ever wondered why the rich just seem to keep getting richer, or why happy people seem to only get happier? And what about those lucky folks who somehow just keep getting luckier? On the surface, I know it feels like a totally unfair advantage, right? Like the universe is just out there playing favorites. But what the source material actually reveals is that it isn't magic and it definitely isn't luck. It's actually a measurable, highly predictable force. There's a hidden difference between the ordinary, kind of frustrating results most people experience and the truly unstoppable success of top performers.
And that difference actually has a name. We call it Big Mo, or simply momentum. It turns out that momentum is one of the most powerful and honestly enigmatic forces of success out there. It's the hidden engine driving superachievers, people like Michael Phelps, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson. You can't see it, and you literally can't touch it, but man, you definitely know when you have it. The fascinating thing about Big Mo is that it doesn't just show up to every occasion, but when it does, it completely catapults achievers into the stratosphere. Once you actually have momentum on your side, there is almost no way anyone can catch you. To really understand Big Mo, we kind of have to take a quick trip back to high school physics, specifically Newton's first law, the law of inertia. Remember that one? Objects at rest tend to stay at rest. Think back to being a kid at the playground, trying to push one of those massive heavy metal merry-go-rounds from a dead standstill. It is brutal. You push, you pull, you grunt, and it barely even inches forward. This is a perfect illustration of the immense pain and effort required to start a brand new habit or project. At the very beginning, you are literally fighting the sheer gravity of your old conditioning.
Getting things started requires massive, absolutely exhausting energy. But think about what happens next. Once that merry-go-round is finally spinning at a good clip, the momentum completely takes over. The heavy lifting is done. You can literally just tap it lightly with one hand as you jog alongside it, or just hop on and enjoy the effortless glide, feeling the wind in your face. The effort required drops dramatically, but your speed and your results, they stay incredibly high.
To put that into perspective, think about a space shuttle launching into orbit. A space shuttle actually burns more fuel during the first few minutes of its flight than it does for the rest of the entire trip combined. Seriously, it has to burn an unbelievable amount of energy just to break free from the pull of gravity. But once it breaches the atmosphere, it just glides. Breaking bad habits and starting new ones requires that exact same initial massive blast of energy.
So the million-dollar question here is, how do we actually capture this? How do we get Big Mo to pay us a visit? Because as we just established, breaking gravity is incredibly hard work. And momentum, it doesn't just happen by accident. You can't just sit on the couch, watch TV, and expect Big Mo to come knocking on your door. The source material outlines a very specific mechanical process for building this unstoppable force through predictable daily actions.
To catch momentum, you have to build it step by step. It always starts with making new choices based on your goals. Then you put those choices to work through positive behaviors. You repeat those actions over and over until they become established habits. You lock them into your daily rhythms and, most importantly, you stay fiercely consistent over a long enough period of time. Think about Michael Phelps again. He and his coach honed his talents for 12 solid years through incredibly strict routines. When he hit the Olympics, Big Mo showed up to the party and he won an unprecedented 8 gold medals.
Building those daily rhythms is kind of like the wheels of a massive steam locomotive. When a train is at a total standstill, a tiny 1-inch block of wood placed right under the front wheel is enough to keep that entire massive machine from moving forward. It takes an incredible amount of steam and pressure to finally get those pistons to budge. But once those wheels get into a rhythm and that train starts rolling, it builds up into a wall-crashing 55 miles per hour force that can literally plow through a 5-foot steel-reinforced concrete wall and just keep on going.
But here is the trap. This is where most people fail, and it's the ultimate momentum killer. Imagine you and I are both flying planes from Los Angeles to Manhattan. If you fly at a blazing 500 miles per hour, but you decide to land in every single state along the way, while I fly straight through at a slow, steady 200 miles per hour, I am going to beat you by a massive margin. That erratic stop-and-start approach takes at least 10 times as long, and it completely burns through all your fuel and motivation. Make no mistake, inconsistency completely kills Big Mo.
And that brings us to probably the most crucial metaphor of this entire explainer, the old-school hand-pump water well. I really want you to picture the unseen effort required here. With a hand pump, the water is sitting deep, deep underground.
To get that water up to the surface, you have to pump that lever to create suction in the pipe. When you first start pumping, you are putting in a ton of hard work, sweating, pulling, but you see absolutely zero results coming out of the spout. Let's walk through what's actually happening underground. You pump the lever hard. That creates an underground vacuum. Slowly, invisibly, the water is rising up the pipe. But because people don't see the water immediately, this is the exact moment where almost everyone gives up. They pump for a few days, maybe a few weeks, see absolutely no success, and they just walk away. But if you persist just a little bit longer, the water finally breaches the surface and flows steadily with minimal effort.
But here's the absolute kicker. What happens if you let go of that lever for too long? The water falls all the way back down into the ground. And boom, you are right back to square one. Montemas is gone. This is the tragic, exponential cost of letting go of your routine. If you slack off, if you skip your daily rhythms, you don't just lose one day's worth of progress. The vacuum breaks, the water plummets back down into the earth. You lose all the momentum you spent weeks building, and the only way to get it back is to start that grueling, exhausting, heavy lifting all over again.
So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to take away from our explainer today. Are you going to keep stopping and starting, burning through all your fuel just to break gravity over and over again? Or are you ready to become the unstoppable tortoise, truly harnessing the physics of success? The choice is entirely yours, but remember, gravity is always pulling. Don't let go of the lever.